Hi, friends. Welcome back to Glowing Anyway, the podcast where we keep it real about motherhood, life, and everything in between. Today's episode is one I wish I would have done when I first became a mom because let's be real, there's a lot of stuff that they don't tell you before you become a mom. You hear all about how motherhood is beautiful, motherhood is a gift, and it is, but nobody sits you down and tells you half of what you're about to experience. They never tell you, hey, just so you know, you're going to be exhausted for the next 18 years. You will not get a full night's sleep. You're constantly going to worry about your kids. Oh, and you'll probably cry at 2 p.m. on a random Tuesday because your kid asked for a banana and then threw a tantrum when you gave them one. Today, we're talking about the truth about being a young mom or even just a single mom, the things that nobody tells you. And I promise we are going to laugh because if we don't laugh, we might cry. Let's get into it. First things first, nobody prepares you for the emotional roller coaster that is motherhood, especially if you're doing it alone or you're young, like my case. I got pregnant with my daughter when I was 19, turned 20 a month before I had her, so I wasn't even 21 yet. But of course, all my college friends and my friends were out partying, they were out living their lives, traveling the world. And I'm not gonna lie, when my friends were out partying or even just like going on spontaneous road trips, I had some serious FOMO. And I definitely had my moments where I was like, what would my life had looked like? And nobody talks about the guilt that comes with those thoughts because I love my daughter more than anything in the world. She is the best thing that ever happened to me. Honestly, if I didn't have her, I probably would not be here. I wouldn't be sitting here speaking to you. I might be 6 feet under. So she was a blessing, 100%. But those feelings are real and they exist. And I think a lot of moms go through that regardless of age. It's a big adjustment. Another emotional side of motherhood is the loneliness factor. When you're pregnant, it's like you get overwhelmed with all these people coming around you. Everybody's congratulating you, everybody's checking in on you, everybody's so excited and buying gifts for the baby. You have your baby shower. And even once the baby arrives, everybody wants to come see the baby, but it's not all about you anymore. And after that first like couple weeks or so, once everybody has met the baby, crickets, crickets. And you'll have days where you feel like you're doing it completely alone, that you have no support system, and it can be rough. It can be really rough, and it's very easy to fall into a dark place. But trust me, you're not alone. Even when it feels like it, even if you're going through PPD, postpartum depression, PPA, postpartum anxiety, postpartum rage, like all of that. Like, I really, really encourage you to lean into whatever support system you have, even if it's your neighbor, sweet little Betty, who says hi to you every morning. It is so important to lean into whatever support that you have and just take it day by day. Don't be too hard on yourself. Then there's the identity crisis that nobody warns you about. You go from being you, even when you're pregnant, you're still you, you're kind of morphing a little bit, but you're old you just with baby. Suddenly, your whole life revolves around nap time and snack preferences and diaper changes. I mean, who even are you anymore? I had to learn how to reconnect with myself in so many new ways with all the different seasons of my life. And honestly, I didn't even start to fully feel like me again until like 2.5 years postpartum. I mean, granted, I went through a lot during that time, probably a lot more than most moms would. But now that I am this rebirthed version of myself, I feel like me again. I'm still figuring it out. It really is a roller coaster. Like, we have good days, we have bad days, and you just kind of roll with the cycle of life. But there really is an identity crisis for a hot minute there. All right, with the emotional things aside, let's get into the stuff that really caught me off guard. And if you thought, wait, I thought that was that stuff, buckle up, Buttercup, because these are about to be some wait, what moments. There is a pressure to have it all together. People expect you to be super mom while raising your kid the right way, but having a career and taking care of your home and still trying to prioritize self care. Like, am I supposed to be pureeing baby food, changing a diaper, typing up my little my little podcast scripts while I look for a day job and make sure I'm on time to that and then put a face mask on at the same time? I'm exhausted just saying all that. And something that kind of tags hand in hand with that is mom guilt, which I briefly mentioned earlier, but mom guilt I think is a lot worse than I ever thought it would be. Like, it's something that wasn't even on my radar. It doesn't matter what you do, and you could be the best mom in the world in other people's eyes, but you're always going to feel guilty about something. You're going to be feel guilty for getting fast food instead of cooking. You're going to feel guilty for working too much, not working enough. um you're going to feel guilty for enjoying a night out when your kid is with their father for his weekend. You could be kid free all weekend and you will feel guilty for relaxing on the couch when you don't get another moment during the week. I mean, it's just crazy. It's like definitely a very real thing to try and overcome and rewire your brain and be like, hey, it's okay. Like you need a break. You are not superwoman. You need to sit down and take care of yourself and pour into your own cup so that you can pour into your child's cup. Another thing that I think is on people's radars, but they don't fully grasp the concept of, is the financial struggle. The financial struggle is real for everybody, I think, right now, but especially as a single mom in this economy. Do you know how much daycare costs? Because in New York, um, it's like a second rent, basically, or a mortgage on a home. And I will be the first one to admit, thank God for that daycare subsidy program. No shame in admitting it. Like, if you are on the daycare subsidy program, there is no shame because honestly, it is disgusting how much childcare costs. And for a single mom, I think I saw a video once for a single mom to be able to afford it out of pocket and afford all her other expenses. I think it said she had to be making upwards of $90,000 a year. I mean, that's that's disgusting. Budgeting is definitely a necessary life skill that I did not have at the ripe age of 20 when I had my daughter. But it's something I had to pick up on very fast. And I mean, we lived with my parents for a while when Everly was a baby. We actually just recently moved out this past September. And it's been a bit of an adjustment to handle rent on my own and all of these bills and juggle everything. And I'm doing okay, but I have my days where I sob and I panic and I like account for every last penny. So the finances can definitely be stressful. And I don't think I was as prepared as I should have been. And I really wish that somebody would have told me how expensive life can be in general, especially if things don't go how you thought that they would in your head and you become a single mom. But okay, enough of the bad stuff because I am not trying to scare you off. Because here's the thing, even in the hardest moments, being a mom is the most incredible thing in the world. And I truly couldn't picture my life going any other way. There are parts of this journey that I would not trade for anything. And I am who I am today because of her and because of the struggles and the trials that I faced and I had to go through and grow through and glow anyway in the midst of the chaos. So, these are the best parts that make it all worth it. And the first one is the unconditional love that you experience. There's literally nothing like it. I mean, your kid doesn't care if you showered, if your life's a mess, if dinner is mac and cheese or a 5-course gourmet meal, because they're not going to eat it anyway. To them, you're just home. And that is such a magical feeling. And just the unconditional love that like I have for her. Like she truly brings me so much joy, and I have never experienced true love until I had her. And then, of course, there's the little moments that make it all worth it. The first, I love you, mama, the little hands holding your hand or just resting their hand on like your leg or your arm or something, all the random hugs and kisses, and just the way that they look at you like you literally hung the moon. It's definitely those moments that keep you going. Even if the whole world was crashing down, if I hear Everly, this is something we say to each other, if I hear her go, Mommy, you're my best friend, and she'll say to me, Mommy, I love you to the moon and to the stars, I I tear up. I'm tearing up now thinking about her saying it, but it's moments like that that keep me pushing and keep me going to give this little girl the best possible life because that's what she deserves. And that leads me to one of my last points is that you're stronger than you thought that you were. And in the midst of all the chaos, you're going to question a lot of things. You're going to question your own strength. You're going to question your own sanity. But I promise you, there will be moments when you look back and think, how did I get through that? How did I get through that? But you will. And that is the moment when you realize just how much of a badass that you really are. I mean, I remember becoming a single mom and like my whole world just falling apart because I had this idea in my head of a perfect family. And like when you become a mom, nobody thinks that you're not going to have that picture perfect, like happy little family and a full home. And it's really hard to kind of let go of that concept because you know that you didn't deserve the disrespect and that your daughter doesn't deserve the disrespect and that the two of you deserve so much better. And having one extremely happy home full of positive affirmations and fun and dance parties and just cuddling together at night and playing games during the day is so much better, such a more peaceful setting than having a child grow up in an unhappy home where there's disrespect, maybe, or parts aren't being played equally, um, or just prior issues in the relationship that could trickle down into your child's happiness. I mean, there definitely is times that I look back at and I think, how did I get through that? I remember being in my parents' home. I love my parents, but like we were a family of 5 before I had Everly. So now that's 6. Plus they got a puppy around the same time that I had my daughter. So it was rough for a hot minute there. And we all love each other so much. I mean, my family's like this. Like we are a tight-knit group, but we would step on each other's toes, and I think relationships were really really strained because I was trying to be independent and raise my daughter and raise her the way that I wanted to raise her. But my parents, like I'm their baby girl, so they were still stuck in their way kind of trying to raise me, and there was just a lot of like clashing heads, some headbutting. Um and when I finally moved out into this apartment and like God opened up this opportunity to me, I can't even tell you the shift that it made in my life. It was such a positive experience, and I'm so peaceful now. And I look back and I'm just like, I was really in the trenches, and I never thought that this would be possible for her and I to have our own place. I always thought that I would need a partner to be able to move out or a double income. And I'm very, very blessed. So, if you're in the thick of it right now, I just want to remind you of a few things that I really wish that I would have heard. You don't have to have it all figured out. Trust me, no mom does. It's okay to ask for help, and it doesn't make you weak or show sign of weakness if you need the support. They say it takes a village, and it truly, truly does take a village, and everybody's village looks different. You need to take care of yourself too, even if it's 5 minutes a day, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Ignore the judgment. People will always have opinions. And trust me, I know as a mom who became a mom basically as a teenager, people will have a lot to say and they will try to overrule your parenting or think that you don't know what's best. But you know what's best for your child and for you. So do you, boo. You're doing better than you think. I promise you. I can't even tell you how many times I thought that I was like the worst mom in the world. And I would have random strangers or even like my daughter's preschool teachers complimenting me on how sweet she is, how kind, how thoughtful, and just telling me that it was clear I was doing a good job raising her. And those are things that I won't forget. Like that truly means a lot to me to hear because I think we can be really tough on ourselves. And with that being said, if nobody has told you today, you are an amazing mom, and I see you, and I get you, and I am you. All right, mamas, that is it for today's episode. If this resonated with you, if you felt like you were needing this, if you were nodding along, like, yes, girl, same. Yeah, I get it. Come hang out with us on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube at Glowing Anyway Pod and send me a message. I would love to hear your stories. I would love to hear if there are pieces that you related to, things you didn't relate so much to, because everybody's experience is unique, and I always love hearing other moms' stories. If you know a mom who needs to hear this or somebody who is becoming a mom, please share this with them. We are just women figuring life out for the first time, living life for the first time, and we're all in this together. And I really want this podcast to be a space where people feel heard and supported and seen. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, we're not always thriving, but we're glowing anyway. Bye, guys.